morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. It is Monday morning, February 24th, 2025. It is so good to see you all this beautiful Monday morning here in Austin, Texas. Let's do a little quick sound check. Can you hear me okay? If you could do a thumbs up over chat, that would be absolutely fantastic. Good morning, Bertina. Good morning, Harold. Thank you all so very much. I really appreciate you giving me the thumbs up. It is so good to see you all. I am really excited for this Monday morning touch point. Really excited to talk about the market. We're going to take a look at inventory and everything else that's going on within the market. I spoke with a few of you over the weekend and also this morning. Good turnout on open house this weekend for those who did open house. Way to go. We had a pretty decent weather for the most part, but really good turnout in open house. Let's see what's going on with the new listing to pending ratio and see if inventory and if absorption is following the decrease in rates that we've experienced. We're now going on just about the fourth week in a row where rates are under 7%. And as you can see behind me right there on that side of the screen, do you like the new background, by the way? A new, nice, really big screen behind me. You can see the bond market, and we've had really good positive movement over the past 2 days within the bond market. This is going to be a very important week for the bond market. A lot of economic activity happening this week that will absolutely affect the bond market. Melanie Price said, "Is that your new office?" Well, it is exactly the same office. I just added that screen right there, to the background. So I needed a place for an 85-inch screen, and what better place to put an 85-inch screen than right behind me. I love it. It looks absolutely fantastic. Melanie Price said, "Are you keeping the space?" Yeah, absolutely. The glass sliding door is gone. They shattered the glass sliding door, and I now have a wall instead of that sliding door, and I get to keep my office. We had our first Friday meeting at the Awesome Board of Realtors. Y'all, it was fantastic. I thought it was great. Plenty of space, beautiful, gorgeous canyon view, really good sound quality, really good visual. I absolutely loved it. Want to remind you all that, of course, Monday Morning Touch Point, none of that changes. We're here, you're here, so thank you for being here. And we have our Wednesday training over Zoom. We do not do the Tuesday mentorship meeting at the office. The mentorship meeting is Friday at 9 a.m., Auditorium A at the Awesome Board of Realtors. So we are having our Wednesday meeting over Zoom, broker Q&A, contract review and training. And then we have 9 a.m. Monday, 9 a.m. mentorship meeting at the Awesome Board of Realtors. And then immediately following that, we have our team meeting, Auditorium A, Awesome Board of Realtors, only 1.8 miles away from the office, so super, very close proximity. And then once you come to the Team Price office, we are now down the hall. So our suite has actually changed. It's still Suite 305, so we don't have to change anything. We don't have to change business cards or anything like that. But if you go all the way down the hall, so it really depends on which elevator you come out of, but let's just say you walk up the stairwell from floor 2. As you were walking up the stairwell and you get up on floor 2, our office used to be the first door to the left. Now it's the last door to the right. That's it. Same exact floor. So really nice office. We're really excited. We do have a conference room there, a place for agents to work, resource room, but we have officially made the move. So same suite. So really more efficient use of space. So I'm really excited about that. But everything's there. Printer's there. Resource room is there. Everything is there. So come check it out. But Friday team meeting at the Awesome Board of Realtors. Go up the stairs, 2 floors. Yeah, it's 3rd floor, but you go up 1 flight of stairs because first floor is really 2nd floor. That's the way it is. So no Tuesdays at all. The mentorship meeting is going to be at 9 a.m. on Friday. We are not having a Tuesday mentorship meeting at the office. The mentorship meeting is going to be on Friday. So it's going to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday morning touch point over Zoom. Wednesday, 10 a.m. over Zoom. Friday, 9 a.m. mentorship, 10 a.m. meeting. So it saves you one day to where you have to deal with the traffic And then you do the mentorship meeting at 9. Team meeting starts at exactly 10 o'clock. So, yep, that's exactly it. Good stuff, you all. Let's go ahead and start updating our amazing new listing to pending ratio, see what's going on within the Austin market, what's happening with inventory, and let's go ahead and go at it. I'm excited to see what's happening with new listings that came in the market. I'm thinking we had a little bit of a drop compared to a few weeks ago, but time will tell. Let's see what's going on. And as you know, first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go a little bit backwards in time. We're going to have to update from February 10th all the way through February 17th. And by the way, you all, apologies in advance for my little bit of a course or hoarse course, whatever. I lost my voice over the weekend. I wasn't yelling at anyone. Usually it's when I'm yelling at someone. But I am recovering from, I don't know, maybe it's cedar, maybe it's sickness. It doesn't really matter, but my voice is recovering. So I apologize in advance for that. Hopefully it'll sound better here in the next few days. But we're going to have to go a little bit backwards in time, and we're going to have to update properties that went pending from February 10th all the way through February 17th. Keep in mind that we are updating the 6-county area: Travis, Williamson, Bastrop, Hayes, Caldwell, along with Burnett counties. And the number is going to go up from 350 to 373. That's going to give us a ratio of a 0.75. Not bad. I'll take this ratio all day long. A little bit lower than the previous week, but when we update from the 3rd to the 10th, that's going to be 479. That ratio is going to go up to 0.80. Not bad also. From the 27th to the 3rd, that's going to be 508. Let's keep on going. And then from the 20th to the 25th, that is going, or 27th, that's going to be 451. Then from the 13th to the 20th, that's going to be 402. From the 6th to the 13th, that's going to be 363. Pendings do not lock in at 11:59 the day. Agents can keep on changing pendings. That's why we have to go backwards in time and we have to update the pendings. So we can see that right now we're at 349, 349. All of the previous weeks have now been updated. So we can now update this week. That's going to be from the 17th to the 24th. Keep in mind that 11:59 p.m. tonight, new price increase, price drop back on the market, active under contract. It all shuts, it closes, it locks in. When you receive this updated ratio tomorrow morning, all of those fields are going to be locked in. And as you can see, the pending, we're going to update that for the next few weeks. Let's take a look at active from the 17th to the 24th, or new listings. And oh, wow. Okay, I wasn't expecting this. 1,008. 1,008 new listings, which means we're going to be to the 1,030. We will absolutely get 22 additional listings between now at 10 a.m. until 11:59 p.m. tonight. I would even say that there's a possibility. Well, let me take a look at this. Last Monday, only on Monday the 17th, we had 109 new listings. So far today, we've had 25. So we can expect about another 90 new listings come on the market between now and the end of the day. So we are going to be to the 1,030. We're going to beat the 1,040. I'd say we're going to come really close to the 1,090. I'm going to go ahead and go on record saying that we're going to beat that. So we're going to have the highest number of new listings enter the market going all the way back to June. We're going to beat the 1,090. I cannot wait to update this information tomorrow morning. Let's take a look at the number of price increases. And we are looking right now on number of price increases. Let's see here. 167. What about price decreases? We are looking at 1,025 price decreases, 86%. I was expecting this towards the end of the month. It's very common for builders to play that famous game of increasing pricing towards the end of the month, causing a little bit of a demand. Oh, prices are going up. Prices are going up. and then they start chasing the market down. We're actually going to see even more price increases happening in the next week, this next week. When we track this information from the 24th all the way to the following Monday, we're going to see even more price increases, primarily from builders. Back on the market, we are at 155, 15% back on the market. And let's keep on going. Active under contract, we're at 449. Not a bad number. I'll take this number. This is where you get to guess. How many pendings do you think from February 17th all the way through February 24th? Go ahead and give me your guesses. Let's get 5 guesses going. Go ahead and give me your guesses. 5 guesses on how many pendings. What do y'all think? Okay, Harold is going to start us off at 215, followed by Seth at 219. And then Bertina at 255, Sonia at a bullish 237, Melanie Price coming in at 234, and Alex coming in at 207. Let's take a look at it. We are at, oh, wow. Here's the good news. It is higher than the highest number that was given, which was Bertina. We are at 258. Not bad. I will take this number. This goes to show how rates affect demand for real estate, not only in our area, but really the entire country. This goes to show we now have, going into the 4th consecutive week of rates under 7%, and we've had good activity within the bond market. Once again, you can look behind me. Let's take a look at it. What's it at? We are down 3.3 basis points on the bond market. So this is good. Even though inventory is up, pendings are going up as well. Yeah, in relation, you're absolutely right. It looks like we're still lagging compared to last year. We did have a higher demand compared to last year, but that's okay. I just have to be okay with that. I am more concerned or more encouraged on the week over week growth. I don't really care what happened last year. That is old news. But when we see progress on a week over week growth, I am very, very happy with that. And that's what we are starting to see. Just a slow incremental increase on the number of pending properties. Still lagging the year over year, but on a week over week, the fact that we hit that 0.86, backtracked a little bit down to the 0.75. We're at a 0.61. We're going to land somewhere around the 0.75. Keep in mind that a under 0.8 ratio, between that 0.65 and 0.8, you're going to get that substantial increase in inventory. So inventory is going to keep on creeping up, and it's going to build slowly. Under that 0.6 ratio, 0.51 to 0.6, you get a substantial increase in inventory. Inventory picks up at a substantial rate. It's like every week, it's like, wow, another 1,000, another 1,000. Under a 0.5 ratio, it's a market's crashed. There's no demand. 0.5 and under, it's a crashed market. 0.6, it's a substantial increase in inventory. All the way to 0.8 and to the 0.75, a tangible increase in inventory. So we're still within that tangible increase in inventory at the 0.75. This number is going to keep on going up a little bit. It's going to settle around the 0.8. And that gives us that, every week that goes by, a little bit more inventory. Here's another 200 listings. Here's another 250. If we were down to the 0.5, it'd be like 1,000 new listings on the market that keeps on increasing that supply of inventory. Let us update the monthly, and then we're going to print this as a PDF, and we're going to look at some charts. On the monthly side of things, first thing I'm going to do is go back to January, look at the pending, see what's been added. We are at 1518. Let's go to December. And that was actually December. So this is 1518. Let's go to January. We updated January. Let's go to December. December is going to be 1513. 1513. Do we have to update November? Let's take a look at November before we start updating February. Okay, 1573. We don't have to update anything for the month of November. Let's start updating January. Number of new listings so far, January, we are looking at 3,049. Significantly less than February of 2024, where we saw 4,079. The question is, are we going to get 1,000 listings in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days? I don't think we will. I don't think we will. Let me do something really quick. Let me take a look at the number of new listings between the 25th to the 28th of February, 25th to the 28th of February last year. 2024, 2024. So 404. We had 404 new listings between February 25th, 2024, February 28th, 2024. I would say this year we can expect 500 additional listings between now and the end of the month, the 28th. That's going to put us at the 3,500 mark, which is going to be 500 plus, almost 600 listings less February 2025 compared to February 2024. Now, January, we had close to 700, 650 or so additional listings January of this year compared to January of last year. Renee say last year was a leap year, so February had an extra day. That's a very good point. And that's why on my comparison, I locked it off at February 28th as opposed to going to the 29th. Because if I look at only the 29th, 320 listings came on the market only that day on the 29th. 320 listings. But that's a very good point. You knock out those 320 listings from the 4,079. That puts you at the 3,700 mark or so, close to the 3,700 mark. We're going to end the month at about the 3,500 mark. So still a little bit less compared to last year. So that's good. I'd much rather see that. For me, that's very positive. Let's take a look at how many price increases so far in February. Wow, only 465. 465 price increases. What about price drops? 3,327. 88%. Matching November. So we have reversed the drop that we've experienced over the past 2 months. We're back to November 2024. Percentage of price decreases in relation to price increases. Let's take a look at back on the market. We are at 458, 15% back on the market. Now let's take a look at the active under contract, 1399. And so far this month, pending. Oh, wow. Wow. What do y'all think so far this month? Because keep in mind, when we update the new listing to pending ratio on the weekly basis, we overlap the last day. It makes sense to do that. We capture the activity of the market on the week over week while overlapping the last day. The numbers make sense when you do it that way. On a monthly basis, there's no overlap. So it's from the first all the way to now. So what do you think? I'll just give you the number. 1,078. 0.71 ratio. Better than last month. I will take that. Less than February 2024 at 0.81. So once again, compared to last year, we are slower than we were compared to last year. That's just a fact. The data shows us that. It is what it is. I like the fact that we are seeing just a very slight incremental improvement compared to last month at a 0.68, which is a low ratio, especially for the month of January. But we're at a 0.71 right now. So far, closings, wow, 1570. And let's take a look at withdrawn, 380. And let's go to expired. That shouldn't be a huge number, 240. Let me go ahead and just move this to my other screen. Let me print this as a PDF so that we can review some of the year over year numbers, take a look at some graphs, and then also look at the new listing to pending ratio for the month. It's just going to take me a few seconds to update this information. And then I will also update the new listing to pending resource within the team price folder. It's just going to give me a few more seconds so I can get this information updated and uploaded. Okay, give me 1 second so I can find this. Okay, there we have it. Okay, so now the new listing to pending ratio is updated on our website, Insight and Statistics. You can scroll down, you can go to new listing to pending ratio, and you can see that it has today's date on it. Let's go ahead and review the year over year. Last week, we had 70 less new listings enter the market compared to a year ago. So far, we're down by 6. We're going to make that up. That's going to be on the positive side of things. Let me go ahead and just open this with Acrobat and take over the entire screen so that you can see it better. I assume this is a lot better, isn't it? Good. A concern that I have is this right here. We are positive, except for 2 weeks ago, on the number of new listings entering the market. And we were positive by 12.8, 29.1, 11.6, 8.2, 14.3. We were down by 6.4 2 weeks ago. We're down by 0.6 so far. This number is also going to be positive. It's going to be positive about 50 or so listings. The challenge that we're seeing is take a look at the pending side of things. We have been negative on the absorption side of it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks in a row. Going on the 8th week, we are also going to be negative year over year this next week. That means that inventory is going to keep on increasing. That ratio is well under that 1 ratio where inventory neither increases nor decreases. We're at a 0.61 right now. That's going to go up to around the 0.75. But when you look at the ratio and you compare the ratio this year versus last year, since the beginning of the year, right there, 0.65 versus 0.9, 0.67 versus 1.02, 0.86 versus 1.12, 0.82 versus 0.91, 80, 94, 75, 82. And then so far we've got 6.1 versus 9.6. So we are noticing more. And Violet says, well, why do you think that is? I would say, Violet, that when you look at surveys across the nation, and I would say that Austin certainly would apply, that there is a great pause happening within the buyer mindset. That the only thing that's going to improve the pause that we're seeing with buyers, it's a decrease in price along with favorable rate conditions. The election result is over, and it doesn't matter how the election goes. There's always a 30-day period of optimism. There's a peak optimism that happens a month after the election, and then that optimism turns, and then it actually starts going down. And you can go all the way back to the Carter years. It happens. Doesn't really matter. Right? There's a peak optimism and then it starts dropping. We're noticing that that's showing its way into the consumer sentiment across the board. So that optimism is over. And we have seen a positive movement within the bond market over the past 3 weeks, not only with U.S. Treasuries, but also with mortgage-backed securities. Rates have improved. If rates had not improved, I'd say the number would even be worse than this. But enough buyers right now are contemplating 2 things. They're saying, I think prices are going to go down over the next 6 months to a year. And I think rates are going to be better within the next 6 months to a year. So when the majority of the buyers are convinced of that, only two things are going to move them. One of them is they just find a really good deal. And we're seeing, as a matter of fact, an agent just told me today of a builder, 4.99, and it looks like they're overlaying that with a 3-2-1 buy down. We're confirming to see if that's the case or not. But even if it's just an FHA 4.99 30-year fixed, that's really nice. That's amazing. Imagine if they're overlaying that with a 3-2-1 buy down. That means that for your first year, you've got a 1.99% rate, second year 2.99, third year 3.99, and then 4.99 years 40 through 30. That's amazing. You add a $35,000 to $50,000 price drop that home already experienced. You add your closing costs are paid for. You add possibly a realtor 5% commission. You then create an environment where that buyer says, I'm not going to wait 6 months. This is a really good deal. I feel like this is a good deal. I'm going to take advantage of that. Builders are able to respond to consumer sentiment really fast. And that's why we're having builders coming to our Friday sales meetings saying, hey, whatever you guys need, please. You can do open houses. You can market our listings. We're paying realtor commission. So builders respond very quickly. You know who does not respond quickly? The resale market. The resale market is that stubborn market that says, yeah, this is temporary. I think things are going to get better. That's why we're seeing record high active properties on the market. Do you know that the not sold because it hasn't sold, but the active list price, average active list price, we're seeing record high numbers there, record high ever. So the sellers, the resale market is saying, hey, just wait for the spring. And the resale market tends to create excuses and reasons why the buyer demand isn't there. And you see this happening. It's last year it was, it's an election year. That's why the buyers aren't here. And okay, the election happened. Well, it's tariffs. That's why. Okay, great. Now it's tariffs. And then it's we had a cold front, so buyers didn't come and see the property because of the cold front. Then it's like, well, the reason why we didn't get any buyers was because the weather was really nice. So buyers were out there enjoying the weather. Every single week, there's another reason why the buyers just simply aren't moving forward. That's the resale market. The resale market is notorious for doing that. The new construction market doesn't do that. The new construction market looks at data and they say, buyer walkthrough traffic is down 20%. What must we do to move this product? We've got to cut prices. We've got to increase incentives. Let's move this product. Resale market is super stubborn. I would say that the consumer sentiment is what's driving the market. And enough buyers are now thinking that tomorrow is a better day to buy than today. I do believe that we will enter a period of deflation within the country. I do believe that companies, whether it's the Walmarts, the Targets, that they're not going to be able to pass the cost to the consumer because competition is fierce, and they're going to have to reduce the price, and it's going to eat into their margins. If you read their annual reports, if you read what they're telling their shareholders, that's exactly what they're saying. They're like, hey, we cannot pass this to the consumer because our competition isn't passing it to the consumer. So, hey, by the way, Wall Street, our profit margins are going to be less because we're going to have to reduce our pricing. We can't pass it on to the consumer because our competitors are not passing it on. So now we're going to enter a period, certain products are going to enter that deflation as opposed to the disinflation. Okay. And yeah, absolutely. It'll mean more layoffs. Layoffs are just getting started, by the way. In my personal opinion, that this is just getting started. This is the opportunity for companies to say, let's trim the fat. That's what companies are going to say. There's an opportunity to do that, and they're absolutely going to do that. We saw that Meta did that. We're going to see more and more companies do that. So if I'm a buyer right now for a television and it's $1,000 at Costco, and let's say I want to get that television finance, which would be crazy, but right now they're offering a 10% finance on $1,000 television. But I'm convinced that same TV is going to be $750 and I'm going to be able to finance it for 5% 6 months from now. Oh, guess what? I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait 6 months from now. That mindset is happening not only within real estate, but you take my sister, for example. She's thinking about buying the new Tesla Model Y. She test drove it. She loves it. And then she said, well, we're just going to wait 6 months. I think I'm going to get a better deal 6 months from now. So here's that ready, willing, and able buyer wanting to purchase a car. Doesn't need to buy a car. I mean, the other car still drives. But the reason why she's pausing is because she is convinced that she's going to get a better deal 6 months from now. So the FOMO effect that caused real estate prices to go parabolic, the exact opposite happens when we're now entering deflation. Is that enough buyers say, I think that things are actually going to be cheaper tomorrow? Do I think that's the case? Absolutely. I do believe that consumer sentiment has changed. No doubt about that. When you read the surveys, when you talk to people, when you see if they're acting on that at the macro level, consumer sentiment has absolutely changed. No doubt about that. In my personal opinion, the data absolutely speaks to that. And I would even say that as a nation, we're entering what I feel like is now that last economic cycle within real estate where expansion is over. We're now entering contraction, and therefore prices are going to have to go down. That's what I feel like. And keep in mind, you all, let me go ahead and just share a really cool resource. Some of the old timers know this, but let me share this here with you all. So I'm going to go to Team Price Real Estate. Let me see if I can find that. I hope I can find that. I'm going to go to, actually, let me go to our drive, personal skills and resources, real estate stats and quick stats, real estate market cycle report. Let me download this one. And I'm going to show you something really interesting here. Some of the old timers will remember this. This is a resource that I created, and I'll show you exactly when I created this. I went back and I tracked the economic cycle, the real estate cycle going back to 1818. And I put this together. Let's go to info. I don't know if you can see this. I put this together on October 7th, 2016 at 4:54 a.m. Right there, created October 7th, 2016 at 4:54 a.m. And we did a whole training session on peak land value, peak construction, start of a recession. And this is what I plotted back in 2016. There are 4 very distinct phases to a real estate cycle going all the way back to the 1800s. You can even go before that. You can get almanac data. You can go back to the 1500s even. So you've got phase 1 is going to be a market recovery. Phase 2 is going to be expansion. That's going to lead to a hyper supply, increased vacancy, new construction, which then leads to a real estate recession. Back in 2016, and these hard lines are dates that we know. We know that this phase 4, 2008, 2009. We know that phase 1 was recovery, 2010, 2011. And we know that phase 2 expansion started in 2012. You see how the line goes from a hard line to more of like a blended line? Well, that's because back in 2016, we didn't know what was going to happen in the future. But my prediction back in 2016 was that we were going to enter a period of peak construction from 2023 to 2026, which would then overlap a recession, a real estate recession, transitioning from 2024 into that, right? That we would enter that hyper supply, that increased inventory environment, not only multifamily, resale, new construction, and then we would have the recession into 2025, 6, 7, 8. Now, this was created 9 years ago. So why were we so correct? I mean, why were we spot on? Cycles. That's all it is. It's just cycles. It's just a normal market cycles, right? So for me, this is very empowering. It's like this is a normal market cycle. One of the books that I recommend that every single person read is the book called This Time is Different. This Time is Different, 8 Centuries of Economic Financial Follies. This is an awesome book. This Time is Different. No, I don't want to discount. Really, really fast read. New York Times bestseller, winner of the 2010 TIA CREF Award. This Time is Different, 8 Centuries of Financial Folly. This book does a really good job going over 8 centuries of economic data. And guess what? Every single time, guess what the populace said? Guess what the experts said? Oh, this time is different. They said that about meme coins. They said that about NFTs. They said about the tulip bubble that the Dutch experienced. They said that about the .com bubble. They said that about the 2008. You can watch Ben Bernanke going before Congress and say, no, we're not an economic bubble. And then a few weeks later, Lehman Brothers collapses. Every single time they say this time is different. This is a great, great read. Get it on Audible. It's a little bit of a dense reading, I might say, but it's worth it. So that's why we were able to be fairly spot on when it comes to just these normal cycles. Now, we are not in a real estate recession right now. Austin is the canary in the coal mine. We are leading the nation when it comes to a severe market correction. We're not in a crash. We're in a severe, sustained market correction. We will only be in a crash when prices are down over 20%. For over 3 months, when you compare peak to where we are over a 3-month period, and that's the lagging indicator, and the current level of absorption, the new listing to pending ratio over a 3-month period is under 0.6. As long as we continue to see on a monthly basis a ratio over 0.6, we're in a sustained market correction. If that new listing to pending ratio for a 3-month period is under 0.6, it's a crash. We're not there. We're in a sustained, very sustained market correction. Melanie, you've got a question. Go for it.
So you're saying, if we get there, but is it like the inevitable? Are we just like waiting for that at some point? We just don't know when it's going to hit us?
I had to mute myself so I could blow my nose and you don't have to hear me blowing my nose. So the question is, are we really talking about the inevitable? I mean, don't the fundamentals point to a market crash? Do you want me to separate Austin into the rest of the country, bundle everything together? Like, what do you how do you want me to answer that? Austin or the rest of the country?
Well, I would say one, Austin, and then two, because because the rest of the country crashing could affect us, correct?
Absolutely. So, and that really is the question of the day is, will the rest of the country moving into a severe market correction or moving into a crash pull Austin back? That now that we're experiencing, like it feels like we hit bottom, we're not seeing prices go down at the level that they were before. We're seeing a really good February. February average sold price is up over 10% month over month. So on the lagging side, it does appear that we've hit the bottom and we're entering a certain level of recovery on the lagging side. On the leading side, that's not, we don't see that on the leading side. We're seeing stagnant, like we're not growing year over year. On the leading indicator, we're stagnant year over year, which will cause pressure on pricing. So at this point, Austin is like teetering. It's like, oh, we're down 20%. We see 1 month really things going really well 1 month, primarily driven by incentives, primarily driven by price drops. And then another month we erase all of those gains. So we're teetering in and out of that. Could a nationwide real estate market correction cause Austin to pull back and all of a sudden we're experiencing another 15% price drop? If you had me put my money somewhere, Melanie, if you're like, Dan, like, stop with this whole if this, then that, just give me like, you got to put your money somewhere. I would say that that's the likelihood. I would say I'm going to stay true to my article that I wrote 2 weeks ago that I expect another 12 to 13% price drop over the next 12 to 36 month period. In that once we experience like that, let's just say 15, once we experience another level of contraction from the peak value, another 15% drop, that's going to signify a bottom. And that's when we start to see more of a sustained recovery. That's what I personally expect, especially when you look at the rent to own ratio, how much a property is selling for in relation to how much a property is renting for. When I plug in all those figures, and you know me, I'm going to regress to the mean, I would say another 10 to 15 is absolutely within the realm of possibility. As a matter of fact, it's hard for me to conceive an environment where that does not happen. Now, that would be a completely different answer if the new listing to pending ratio on a week over week was approaching the 0.9, 0.95 into the ones. I would say, no, looks like we reached a bottom. We're positive on the ratio. We're absorbing the level of inventory we're adding to the system, and we're seeing prices going up. I would say the leading and the lagging indicators are very positive. Oh, yeah, looks like we've reached the bottom. Unfortunately, the leading side of the equation is just looking really soft right now. We're not seeing that level of demand that justifies us calling this a market recovery. It's stagnant at best. What happens when we start hitting these 0.75, 0.6, and let's go to the monthly, 0.71 ratio, and this happens all the time. The price drops come in 2 months. The price drops will then follow because new listings are entering the market. The realtors are looking at lagging indicators, what happened back in October, November. Those were very positive months. They're listing their house for sale. They think this time is different. The house sits there. It doesn't move. They now have to be aggressive on pricing, and then it sells. That becomes the comp for the future home, and now we're chasing that down. Does that make sense? Good stuff. And does that answer your question, Sonia? Yeah, I personally don't foresee it. When you look at Denver, you see what's happening with Denver. In a lot of other cities, they're now starting to backtrack on pricing at a pretty significant level. So when you look at the home price index, which will be released this week, so it's going to be really good updating that information to see what's happening with the rest of the country. Let's keep on going here really quick, y'all. We can see that the difference between new and pending. Look at this. We're at 1,030 right now. When you take everything that's new on the market and you subtract everything that's pending on the market, last February, we're at 907. This February, we're at 1,030 already. So we've already exceeded last February in the difference between new and pending. Last month, a massive difference, 1443 as opposed to 416. And we can see that the difference between the new and pending, look at all of the different Februaries in red. We have to go all the way back to 2010 to get a February where we had more properties that were new on the market in relation to pending. And of course, we can see here that the new listing to pending ratio Little bit of a reversal there, which is really interesting. Usually, February has a lower new listing to pending ratio compared to January. Thankfully, this year we've got a better February than January, but still lagging last year by quite a bit. And we can also see this new listing to pending ratio that we have to go all the way back to 2010 to see a February where the new listing to pending ratio was lower than this February. We tend to have really good February, like new listing to pending ratios on February, because people tend to not put their homes on the market until March. But the selling season within Austin is getting shorter and shorter every year, but that's not being followed with a level of absorption. So inventory goes up really fast. Demand isn't there to meet that inventory, which then causes price drops in March, April, May timeframe. And let's keep on going. You can see, let's look at a few more right here. New listing to pending ratio 0.71. We have to go all the way back to 2010 to get a ratio that's a little bit lower than that 0.71. 0.64 in 2010. Let's keep on going. There's that new listing to pending ratio. Active listings. We're approaching 2010 active listing mark. Active listing per 100,000 population. That's not that bad. That's 448. We beat that number in 2016, which was 455. Back in 2010, it was a massive 613. So nowhere close to that 2010. Let's look at a few more things. New listings, back on the market. Okay, let's take a look at total pending properties, and I want to focus on cumulative pending. And this is what I mean by the level of absorption is not keeping up with the level of new listings that are entering the market. So far, I'm so glad I have a mute button. So far, we've had 5,573 pending properties from the first of the month until the end of February. Now, we do have another 5 days left in February. We can expect, say, about another 500 or so pending listings come on the market, but that's going to be way lower than last year. So we are lagging last year on the number of properties that are going pending. That's going to cause an increase in inventory, and we've been talking about that quite a bit. So as a listing agent, well, price your properties accordingly. Review this information with your sellers. Sit down, discuss the level of absorption. Have your sellers understand what's going on with the demand in the market. On the buying side, when you've got a buyer that says, hey, I think that prices are going to be down this time next year or this time in the summer, realize that I agree with them. Based on this level of absorption, prices will have to go down in order for buyers to make the move. And so far this year, the new listing to pending ratio is at a 0.69. That's going to be the new listing to pending ratio so far this year when you look at everything that's pending in relation to everything that's new on the market. And that's quite a big difference compared to last year at a 0.80. Let's take a look at a few more things right here. What I want to do is I want to look at the economic calendar for the week. It's going to be a very important week for the bond market. What's going on here so far? Let me turn around and take a look at the chart. Okay, so we're down by 1.9 basis point. I'll take that all day long, but this is going to be a huge week for the bond market. A few things. We've got the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Business Index. That's now in contraction mode. That's down 8.3. The previous was positive 14.1. National Activity Index. That's also down. So here we've got the leading side of manufacturing business activity going into the negative. Tomorrow, big day. That's where the Standard & Poor Case-Shiller Home Price Index will be released. We're going to be able to update our national market index along with our individual city home price index. That's where we track the top 40 cities along with all of the cities. When did they reach their peak? And I can show you where you can find that information. Once that data is released, these two reports will be updated. Number one, the national market index. That's where you take the home price index, HPI, I divide that by the CPI. So it really does create a apples to apples inflation adjusted comparison on pricing. This is going to be updated tomorrow as soon as the data is released. And then the other one that we will update is going to be the house price index. This is going to be the Freddie Mac house price index. Super reliable. I love this information. They've been tracking it for many, many years. Legitimate source of information, very accurate. And you can see that we've been able to track the Austin market going all the way back to 1975. And we are able to track every single city that they cover. And then we also focus on the top 40 cities based on population size, but they track 384 cities. I love this resource, super accurate information. Last time this report was published, 73 out of the 384 cities reached a market peak, and the rest are now down from the peak. So we'll update these two. We'll go over it during our Friday meeting, but it will all be updated for you tomorrow as soon as the data is released. It may be the day after tomorrow. It depends on when they actually publish the Excel spreadsheet as opposed to just giving us the summary number. Let's keep on looking at the economic calendar. Excuse me. Then going into Wednesday, we've got some mortgage activity, mortgage application that's always released on Wednesday. We've got new home sales, very important. The big one is going to be a combination of Thursday and Friday. Thursday, we've got preliminary GDP numbers along with personal consumption expenditure, PCE. That's going to be preliminary also. That's going to be an inflationary number. Pending home sales, but the big one is going to be Friday. Friday is going to be personal consumption expenditure. That is the number that the Fed uses as an inflationary marker. They trust this number more than they trust CPI, Consumer Price Index, and that's going to be Friday at 7:30 a.m. So by the time you come to the Friday meeting, we're going to have all this information and how it affects the bond market. We are hoping for lower inflation numbers. That's what we're hoping for. If for some reason we get higher than expected inflation numbers, that's going to put the Fed in a really tough position. Do they increase the rates? Were they a little bit too bullish on lowering the rates? And then all of a sudden we've got a heightened inflationary environment. That's going to be really interesting to see what this number comes out at. I cannot begin to guess what these numbers are going to come out. There is no guess. We're just going to have to wait and see. The good news is that so far here on Monday, we are positive on the bond market, meaning we are experiencing a better rate environment right here Monday morning. As you know, join our Facebook internal team price group. I publish these charts just about on a daily basis. Any movement that we see within the bond market and how that affects the mortgage market, you'll all be the first to know. I need to get some cough drops or something. Now, let's take a look at inventory and see what's happening with the Austin inventory. And then we are going to call it a lid. We're at 10:55, so we're going to end right at 11 o'clock. Okay, let me open this up in Adobe so that we can get the entire screen going. It'll just take, come on, open it up. Okay, there we go. Perfect. As of this morning, we have officially crossed the 12,000 active listing mark. We're at 12,101 active residential listings on the MLS. We're up 4.93 month over month. We're up 18.5% year over year. The good news is on the pending side, we've crossed the 4,000 pending mark, but we are down 12.5% year over year. That caused the activity index to drop under 25%. We're at 24.9% activity index. And take a look at months of inventory. Shot up. At the end of last month, we were right at that 4 months of inventory. We're now approaching 4.25 months of inventory. And look what other number. Yo, is it just me, or is it that every time we meet and we go over this, that little number right there where my marker is goes up by 1. Doesn't it feel that way? Is it just me? We're now at 45. Every week it feels like we just go over one or two. So we're at 45 short sales. This ties in with the question that was posed earlier, which is like, well, what could cause our market to regress into from a severe and sustained market correction to a crash? This number right here. How many shadow short sales are there where it hasn't been assigned to a loss mitigation specialist? It's still under a loan deferment program. The banks are not acting. I'm now getting BPO requests about every 2 weeks. Hey, and we're getting BPO requests because our website is now ranked super high on Austin short sale, Austin notice of default, what's happening with the Austin market. So now we're having lenders contact us as their go-to source for a broker price opinion. And I'm pulling up these properties and it's like, wow. I see that the property was listed for 550 and now I get a BPO request. Some of these properties are still active on the market. And now it's down to 425. And I'm like, there's no way that property's 350 all day long. So Melanie, you've got a question on foreclosures. Go for it.
Well, I actually have a comment because I'm seeing more and more properties that are, I guess, real estate owned or in foreclosure
Yes.
and not on the market, but you can see the foreclosure history on Realist.
Yeah.
So, and also some of these properties are being listed by Houston Realtors. So
Hmm.
if you always click unlock MLS in your search, you will miss these.
That's a very, very good point. Because here's the thing. I'm so glad you brought that up. This notice of default 9 is a worthless figure. This requires the agent under special listing condition to mark notice of default. Many times the agent doesn't even know that the property has a notice of default. They have no idea. Sometimes they're told by a buyer's agent, hey, by the way, I noticed that your property has a notice of default. When you go on Realist and you can go to My Search, you can create your own personal search and you can search. Let me go to my safe search, and this is going to be, I've got a safe search called foreclosure. And under distress sale, you can select, or let me go to foreclosure stage, pre-foreclosure, and 196 auction. That takes it up to 1,583 bank owned. That takes it to 2,600 and 2,269. And let's go to foreclosure indicator. No, we're not going to select that. And let's just pick a few cities. Austin. Oh, wrong one. So Austin, 725. All right. I'm so glad you brought this up, Melanie. 725 properties with pre-foreclosure, auction, and bank owned in the city of Austin. In the city of Austin. Now, if I go to the MLS and I search for this same information, what do I come up with? Pre-foreclosure 10, in foreclosure 7, auction 5, real estate owned 86. And this is for the entire MLS. So is there a way in Realist to see if the property is in the MLS? I think there is. Let me go to customize search. Let me save this first. Save. Perfect. It doesn't look like it's going to let me do this. Yeah, it's not letting me do this. But there's a way for me to add a drop-down menu where I can actually, let me go back to my search. Yeah, okay, perfect. Okay, let's see if we can add. I'm going to go to all categories. Is there a way to add if the property is on the, okay, MLS status? Perfect. Apply. So I've got, let me add, okay, pre-foreclosure and all that. And I'm going to select, so we got 725 MLS status. I'm going to say active, active under contract, pending. And this number drops to 53. So we have 15 times more properties with that classification on Real List in relation to what's active, active under contract, or pending on the MLS. 15x the number of properties. All this does, this resource that I have, is simply captures what's active on the market. It doesn't capture what's actually happening. So, how many short sales are there where it's just not even on the market? Potential short sales. So, I'd say this number is going to go up by quite a bit simply based on what we can discern from Real List. I mean, this is almost a shocking number that only in the city of Austin. Let me add a few more cities right here. Is Austin and Pflugerville. We're looking at, okay, 793. Let me get rid of Austin. What's Pflugerville? 68 just on Pflugerville. 68. What's Manor? Manor is usually a big foreclosure. 67 in Manor. I mean, we could play around with this all day long, but you can see that there's a lot of that shadow bank owned pre-foreclosure, potentially in auction, where they're not even listing the property for sale on the MLS. Now, eventually that property may be listed for sale, but this is really, really interesting just to pull up this data. But really, the big one's going to be on Friday. This is going to be yet another one of those, winner take all weeks where we could absolutely see a dramatic improvement in rates. If the inflationary numbers come in better than expected, we can expect an improvement in rates. If they come in worse than expected, then we can experience a really big pullback on rates and have a higher rate environment. Active listings were up 18.5% year over year. Pending listings were down 12.5% year over year. And that's going to cause the activity index to drop in relation to last year. We're down 19.7% on the activity index. Last thing that I want to go over, it is 11:05. I want to honor your time, but let's take a look at pricing really quick. This is going to be about 3 minutes, and then we're going to call it a lid so that we can get back to the real work, which is serving our clients well. And take a look at what's happening with pricing. Nothing short of shocking, because the average sold price is up a staggering 10.7% month over month, 7.4% year over year. Not so on the median sold price. That's up by 5.4% month over month, still on the positive, but down 1.7% year over year. What is this telling us? That the activity is concentrated within the higher end of the market. That is actually doing a lot better than the lower end of the market. And that's happening across the entire nation. But you can see that this month over month increase is substantial. As a matter of fact, as of now, it looks like we're in store for the second best month over month price increase in the past 25 years on the average sold price, which is just amazing. When you look at the median sold price, we're at 5.4%. We're nowhere close to the top. I mean, the top was 10.58%, and that was back in, let's see, when did we see a 10.8% increase month over month? I need to find that figure. If you can find that figure, that would be very, very helpful. I cannot see that figure right here. but we can see that it is a 10. I'll find that figure some other time. But we're looking at a 10.58. I don't even see that figure here. But we can see that on the average side, just absolutely amazing what's happening with the average sold price. Kevin says activity concentrated in the higher end of the market in the third week of the month. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Higher end of the market. Okay, 2021. Okay, there's that. There we go. You found it. Good for you, Melanie. There's 10.6, 10.58, 10.6. Yeah, the higher end of the market, and a lot of it is because we are also seeing some substantial price drops that are happening within the higher end of the market. So those buyers are moving into that product, being drawn by $200,000 price drops, $300,000 price drops. But that end of the market is faring better than the under $500,000. That's where affordability tends to be more of an issue, is that under the 45th, 40th percentile, affordability is way more of an issue there than that $2 million property selling. Those are usually going to be cash transactions. So where are we with rates? Rates are coming in at 6.75. 6.75. That's what we're looking at rates right now. There's Robert's rate sheet. 6.75. That's what we're looking at rates. Conventional 15 years, 6.75. FHA 30 years, 6 1/8. VA 6 1/4. Same with USDA. But we're looking at a 6.75% rate environment. Well, you all, that is the update for the morning, Monday morning touch point, 11:09. Are there any questions? Any other questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, or complaints? Any questions? Any questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, or complaints? Going once. Going twice. All right, my big task for the day is not only to finalize the office transition, but also to publish the top 100 opportunities. Be on the lookout. You're either going to receive that today or tomorrow. I'm working on the top 100 opportunities so that you can post it on social media. And yeah, come by the office, take a look at the new space. We're still, hanging stuff and making sure everything is perfect, but, really excited about it. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, or complaints, please reach out. I look forward to seeing you all over Zoom on Wednesday. For those of you who did the contract proficiency, thank you so much. I'll be reviewing those today. You've got until Wednesday at 9 a.m. to do the contract proficiency. We're going to go over that on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Have an absolutely amazing rest of your day. Thank you all so very much for joining, and I will chat.